We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. And oh my gosh, I am so excited to welcome the program celebrity Al Roker. We all know him from the Today Show, best-selling author and everything, author of Extreme Weather book. It's a book for kids. Al, thanks for calling, and how are you?
I'm doing great, Neil. How are you doing?
Fantastic. I wanted to jump really quickly into Al. Did you ever imagine when you started in the as a journalist, especially in weather, that you would go to where you are today with the Today Show, so many different projects? It must be an amazing journey for you.
It really is. I am beyond blessed to be able to do this. It's people. In fact, people have said, "Oh, this must be a dream job for you." And I said, well, no, because I never dreamt that I would be on the Today Show. So, it really is a special. I still, every morning is almost like a pinch me moment.
It must be. And especially from where, I thought I'm just going to be involved in weather, to now you are involved in everything. You cover so many different events. It's something probably you didn't think about when you got into meteorology, right?
Oh, gosh, no. I've been very lucky in that the Today Show gives us the opportunity to each of us to do things outside of our wheelhouse. So I'm not just doing weather. I get to do things that interest me. And one of the things, obviously, that does interest me is weather. and that's given me the opportunity, because you're on the Today Show, to do kind of cool things. So one of them being this kid's book, Al Roker's Extreme Weather, where we examine all kinds of weather phenomena, because I run into teachers all the time, and they all tell me that their number one topic that kids ask about is weather.
Yes.
So I thought, I've never written a weather book, and I thought this is the audience that I need to reach, these kids.
For sure. And especially now where weather's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, available on everything from your phone to your tablet to the television. Explaining it and breaking it down, the science of it is so much fun. And that's what you want to do, is explain this to kids.
Exactly. And so the fun is we take this and we break it down so that they get what we're talking about, but we illustrate it with some amazing pictures and photographs. And I think the goal is that if kids understand what causes the weather, while they will respect it and know how to treat it, they won't be afraid of it.
Absolutely. And that's the important part, because, again, what we've seen this year with the tragedies from weather, you have to explain it to kids that this is not always happening.
And it is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary to kids. It's scary to adults. And so I thought, this is one of those things where I think we can do a service for everybody, because, look, if you're a parent of small kids, they're going to be asking you about weather. And if you're like me, you've forgotten half of what you learned in earth science class. So, I think it's a good book for everybody.
So it's for everybody, but for kids especially. And you want to connect with teachers. This is because it's your first children's book. I'm sure you're excited about the whole publicity of getting to go into schools and read the book and to really connect with teachers so that they can utilize this as a resource in their classrooms.
Absolutely, and that's the whole idea. And so, with anything involving kids, it still has to be interesting. It still has to be kind of have that wow factor. I mean, I think in a sense, its DNA is part of the Guinness World Records. And that kids love flipping through that book, and so I'm just really excited about it.
It seems like you really are. And give us some highlights of types of weather you're covering in this book.
Well, we talk about tornadoes, we talk about snowstorms and blizzards, we talk about hurricanes and the different names they go under. We talk about different cloud formations. We talk about climate change because I think kids have to know about this. Science is not a dark art. It's not something to be feared. It's something to be used. I mean, and when you explain to kids that because of science, we have everything we have today. It all started with science. I think they come to appreciate it that much more.
They definitely appreciate it much more. And I think that you said you want them not to fear weather. How do you explain that so they don't fear the weather? Because, again, the weather changes our whole mood every day, Al. When we see you on today's show and you tell us it's going to be a really rough day, it's going to be a huge snowstorm or hurricanes are coming or different things, how are you trying to, in the book, explain to people weather's life and you have to deal with it and not to be fear it, as you brought up a little bit earlier in the interview?
Well, we give them the information and even some tips on dealing with things and safety. But I think once they see it and once they read it, it's like anything. Once you shine a light on something, you're far less afraid of it. So I think this book, and I think it's a great. So many times you hear the term gateway, and it's a negative connotation. I think this, in a positive sense, this gateway to the world of science, of STEM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. I think because there is art in weather. There is, when you look at some of these photographs, they're beautiful. They're just beautiful.
Absolutely. Okay, so we can pick up the book in all finer bookstores. Where can we find information on you, Al? I know we can
great
connect
bookstores, Amazon, any place you buy good books, you will find this.
And then connect with you social media-wise. I know you're connected highly on social media. Where can we follow you and find you? Where's the best place, Al?
You can find me on Twitter at Al Roker, at Al Roker on Instagram, and at Al Roker or alroker.com.
Well, Al, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it, especially with your busy schedule. It was an honor to have you on the show, and best of luck with this book. And I'll be promoting it big time and letting the schools know about it, too. All right, take care, Al. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment, and I'm excited to welcome the program Tom Cavanagh of CW's The Flash. Tom, thanks for calling. But, Tom, I'm going to tell you, I'm a huge fan of Scrubs. Yeah. I loved you in Scrubs, Tom, and you were just so funny the way you played all those jokes and different things. It was just it's a character that I'm sure you'll never forget, will you? The one when you played in Scrubs.
Scrubs is one of the all-time great shows I've been a part of. Like, I consider it kind of a head shaker. It's like, oh, man, you got a chance to do that. And that was like both from within, the way that show was run and how they treated the cast and the crew, to like how it appeared on the screen, where it was like this, like a very inventive, funny. It's one of the things I love about Scrubs. Like, they would make you laugh for 21 minutes, just laugh uncontrollably, and then in the 23rd and 24th minute, they'd break your heart.
Yes.
And then in the 25th and 26th moment, they'd make you laugh again. Like, not every show has the ability to do that. A lot of shows can make you laugh, but not all of them can have that kind of deft writing that also can make you cry. And I think Scrubs is one of those rare things. I'm really, really happy to have been a part of it.
And the funny thing, Tom, is you'll live on forever just on Scrubs because it'll constantly be syndicated. It just continue to be aired.
Yeah, I know. It's like every time you turn on Comedy Central or whatever, there's like, there they are again. It's great.
For sure. Now, this opportunity with CW's The Flash, I mean, again, what's amazing is the superhero shows, how popular they're becoming in this day and age, and especially on the CW. And it must be an unbelievable fan base to be part of, to be on this show. And hated, I'm sure, as the villain.
It's weird, right? It's for me personally, it's unexpected. A lot of times, I don't lose track of the fact that this is, when you say superhero shows, it kind of seemed like it used to be like the dominion of big screen because they were just too expensive to do on a small screen, and now in the last 7 to 10 years, we've had the technological advances that we can actually put these kind of digital effects and all these kind of things on the small screen. They're now economically feasible, whereas they never used to be. And now, to be an actor that, plays the Reverse Flash in the case of the Flash, and plays an arch enemy which has existed in the, in the comic book world for decades and decades, to be, one of the very few actors that gets to put on a super suit and check that box. I think that's I think it's something that I understand that it's a massive privilege and it's a rarity, and I'm really grateful for it. It's a completely unexpected opportunity. Not something I ever thought would happen. And just to put on that suit, and be one of those guys. It's like, I'm really grateful for it.
I'm sure you are, Tom. It's something that is. You live on. I talked about living on in Scrubs. You'll live on as that villain forever, especially because of the comic book. The comic book, and now the books.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. I never thought it would be that far-reaching thing, but nowadays these people, they just seem to know about it. There's these conventions, and people are well aware of, it's a much, much, much far-reaching and bigger world than I ever understood. I kind of grew up as a Batman comic book guy, and considered myself to be a relatively knowledgeable comic book person until I entered this world and realized I was a complete neophyte. I didn't know anything compared to the breadth of knowledge that these fans have. You just guys think, oh, I'm dumb. I didn't know I was that dumb. But what's nice about that world is, even for someone who's relatively unintelligent about the stuff like I am, and Jesse L. Martin, who plays Joe West on our show, we talk about this all the time. We're like, even though you're staggeringly inept compared to their breadth of knowledge, they're so welcoming. They're grateful to have something that, for decades has been their go-to show. They're really grateful to have a broader scope and to be branded a little bit in a bigger way, because what's good for comic books in general is good for them, and to watch them be so supportive, it's I have to say it's relatively surprising, and it's great.
It's fantastic. It's something, and that's what I talk about, the fan base. So someday when the show ends, if it ever does, because of the fan base, you'll never know. You're going to be at conventions for the rest of your life. You know that, Tom, because they eat it up. That's cool for sure. Yeah, it really is cool. That's a good word. That's a good way to describe it. It is cool. Exactly. All right, so let's jump into specifically, and you're directing one of the episodes. So what made you go into the directing end of things? And I also know you have a short film, so you're really being the jack of all trades in this business now, it sounds like.
Yeah, as an actor, I think that when you often, for my case anyway, I shouldn't talk for other people, but my case was always you kind of I watched with Grant Gustin, who plays the Flash. You kind of hanker down and do the best job you can for that specific character, and try and tell that specific character's story the best you can. But as you progress, you kind of oh, I don't just have to tell this one person's story. I could tell everybody's story, and that's kind of what directing is. I'm in the show, so I'm telling my story. But when I direct, it's okay, I'm also going to tell all these other people's story, with their help, and I think that's one of the wonderful things about the directing is you have authorship over a few more of the stories, and you get to if you see it a certain way, this is your opportunity to show how you see it. And I love doing it. One of the things about directing is the more you know, the more you need to know, and it keeps you humble that way, because there's never one right way to tell a story. Your version of how this story gets told is probably very different from mine, and not one version is better than the other. And so that's part of the creative process I like. You're trying okay, what's the best way? How do I see it? What's the best way to tell the story? And then with Tom and Grant, it's very different from the Flash is, it's got heart, spectacle, and incredible amount of special effects, humor, and action. And Tom and Grant is a very small, R-rated, dark bank heist movie. It's on The Flash, the people are generally, I would say, good and winning. And in Tom and Grant, this is about these unbelievably dumb guys who, and this is very appealing to me personally, they're really dumb guys who think they're really smart guys. I kind of find there's something about the Ricky Gervais in The Office, or Steve Carell in The Office, like these guys who are like really dumb, but they think they're really smart, and they're going to go rob a bank, and they're the most inept dudes ever to do that. Like, to me, there's something very appealing about it. And it has like car chases and blood and gunfights and heist, and it's just, these dumb guys are very, very different characters from the characters Grant and I play on The Flash. And I think that the people who like The Flash and also other people, will get a kick out of it. It's got music and political message and it's a lot of stuff packed into a very short period of time.
It sounds like, Tom, your character in Scrubs and Ed kind of combined to show like the goofiness that you were, and now you're making other people look that goofy, right? That's what you did, the practical joker on Scrubs, and now you're making these other characters be practical jokers by saying, "Hey, you're smart, but you can't rob a bank." So that's awesome. So again,
exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly. You should be a publicist. That's a good way of putting it.
Hey, that's one of my things. I mean, I do social media and branding for companies and different things like that, so I understand about promotion. All right, so Tom, so it's
cut to the chase very well there, my friend.
All right, Tom. So again, CW's The Flash is on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, but also we can find information on you and about your short film and stuff like that. Where's the best place we can go?
But, we have a website, and we have like the Twitter handle at Tom and Grant, and both of the news about it is going to be easily followed both on like my Instagram and Twitter handles, which is at Cavanagh Tom, or Grant Gustins, which is at Grant Gust. And so I think like those, we're always going to be trumpeting the Tom and Grant ballyhoo from those podiums. So you can find us there, and we'll keep people abreast of what's happening. So
I'll run the show one time, it's promoting Tom and Grant, and another time promoting The Flash, so we can hit both areas. Okay, sound good, Tom?
All right. Exactly right.
All right. Well, thanks for calling. Take care, and thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me on. Cheers.
Take care. All right, see ya. Okay, bye-bye. You're listening to Neil Haley's show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome the program from the Brave, NBC's The Brave, Anne Heche. And thanks for calling. And
hi.
I know you're excited about this project, and it's really, really interesting when you go into specifically undercover involving military and things like that. It's a show that will keep you on the edge of your seat, right? Am I correct, Anne?
I mean, to say the least, yes. It's rather listen impossible every week, and it's so much fun to tell the stories of these human beings in the military who sacrifice their lives for us every single day. And we take our jobs very seriously. We talk about it all the time. Like, we aren't these real people, but there are people protecting us every day all over the world. We're an Omega team. We're made up of Delta, SEAL, and CIA, and there are Omega teams all over the world. And I think in seeing this show, what you are opened up to is an exploration of understanding that everyone wants peace. And there are many people all over the world trying to make that happen. And through this show and through the excitement of the show and the drama of the show, you're actually able to see that there are people protecting us every single day. With all of their might, they have decided to serve their countries above themselves. It's a very interesting thing to be portraying these people and also understand that this is really what's going on.
Well, and it's good we know we're being protected, right? And that's the thing about learning about the show and stuff, to really learn the behind the scenes of what could happen and that we're being protected.
Yes, and also that all countries all over the world are not only protecting themselves, but we're working together. I think sometimes we think that, we're just the United States of America and we're good. No. Nobody wants walls. Everybody wants peace. And I hope that brings peace to us, and I also hope that it illuminates the consciousness that says there are people out risking their lives every single day for us that we don't know about. What are we going to do in our own communities? Can we look up from our interior selves and say, maybe I want to think about the idea and concept that I'm here to serve others, not only myself. And that's what these teams do, and that's what our military does, and they deserve to have stories told about them so that we understand and embrace that there are people protecting us.
Okay, so let's kind of go into your character, Patricia Campbell, and tell us a little about your character.
Well, Patricia Campbell is Deputy Director of Defense Intelligence for the United States of America. And I say that with such, I can't even believe that I get to play somebody like that. It was hard enough for me to even learn how to say that. And then when I thought, oh, gosh, great. I can say that now, maybe I could play it. She runs an Omega team. Omega team is made up of SEAL, Delta, and CIA. The CIA works, the intelligence works through Washington, D.C., and then speaks to her team, led by Mike Vogel, 5,000 miles away. And we have a mission every week that is trying to take out the bad and fill in with good.
So that's great. And playing that role, how did you prepare for that role, especially such an amazing role, meaning that job title?
It was incredible. I mean, all I do, I feel like I gobble up information. I read more than I possibly could. Our show goes to 13 countries and 13 episodes. She holds the encyclopedia of knowledge of the pain in the world. She probably understands more darkness than any human being. And starting at that point, you know, when you start a character, I try to go to the deepest part of that character and then build up. And I remember talking to somebody who was working in the Pentagon next to Condoleezza Rice, and as I started to think of all of this sorrow, like all of when you arm yourself with that, when you arm yourself with the facts that she has, I look at this man who stood by Condoleezza Rice and I said, "Is there anything to smile about?" And his answer was no. I was like, "Oh no, that's dark." But that's not who Patricia is. Patricia is a person who wants to solve the problems in the world to create peace. And she probably holds the deepest knowledge, but also the most hope. And I love that. There's probably nothing more that I've trained for in my life to be able to hold that responsibility of a woman who truly is this in real life. And of course I'm not, but I take my job very seriously in trying to represent the people who are so good, who are so intentioned in creating peace and harmony throughout the world. I love that position, and I feel honored that I got asked to play it.
And now, are you, because of learning a lot of this knowledge, are you paying attention more to the news and ways and starting to shake your head even more than the average person because you know what's going on in this world of the brave?
Oh, you have no idea. I'm like, I look at things differently. I read differently. Somebody looked at me when I was hearing the New York Times the other day, who does work in the Pentagon. They laughed at me like, "Oh my God, you still think that's the truth?" I was like, "Oh my God, I do. I search in different places than I ever have. I read, because there's what we are told is going on, and this is no new news. What we're told going on isn't actually what's going on. And our show really does start to expose, like, this is what's really going on. Oh. We are one world. There are teams like this in 136 countries. We're Omega teams. The military is out there fighting for our peace and our survival in our lives every single day, and those stories deserve to be told."
All right, so we got to check out The Brave Mondays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on NBC. Can we connect with you, Ann, on social media as well to learn more about you? Where can we go?
Oh, absolutely. Well, sure, absolutely. You can do Instagram. I'm now newly into Twitter at Ann Heche, and you know, I'm very thrilled about this show. And I think once anybody tunes into it, they're going to eat it up like I do, because I'm as big a fan of this show as the fans are.
All right. Well, thanks again for calling, Ann. Best of luck in all your ventures. We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome the program the first woman coach in the NFL, Jen Welter, author of Play Big, Lessons in Being Limitless, from the first woman to coach in the NFL. Jen, thanks for calling. How are you? And I know you're enthused about your book being out, aren't you? You're really excited.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm so excited to be here this morning. It's great to join you.
Absolutely. Let's kind of jump right into specifically enough why the NFL. Explain why coaching football. You left a job that was very lucrative to go after your passion. Why did you go after that passion in coaching?
You know, first of all, I would say I didn't go after the passion of coaching to start. I went through the passion of playing. Football was this sport to me that was larger than life. I fell in love with it when I was a kid, but never had an opportunity to play. So when I made my first football team, it was like, I'm doing this. And I made myself a promise that I would follow the game and step up to whatever challenges it put in my way. Now, I had no idea at that time how big those challenges would be. But I think for any of us, like, the secret to happiness and success in life is very simple. And that is being willing to follow your passion and go all in for your dreams.
And see, that's the important part, as I don't have you on for a long time, is go after your dreams. And your dreams came true. You had success as a coach and then got the opportunity in the NFL. How have the rest of the coaching fraternity responded to you being an NFL coach? What did you think? Did they respond well to you getting this opportunity?
Absolutely. And a lot of that goes to, and I know you're in Pittsburgh, so you know how amazing Bruce Arians is. You guys had him there.
Yes.
We actually lovingly would call the Cardinals, when I was there, Steelers West, right? I was there with some of your legends, not only Bruce Arians, but Larry Foote was my coaching mentor.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
I was with him with the inside linebackers. And Footy was, and he figures prominently in my book. And so any of you that know and loved him as a player, what I'm going to tell you is he was the best kind of mentor you could ever ask, because Footy is so Detroit, right? There's no filter. There's no question on what side of the fence he is with you. He will exactly tell you. And he just was so good to work with. And we were so good in the room with those guys because they had no questions. And all of the coaches really took me in, and it was kind of like I had a huge family, right? Like,
yes.
Some of them were more like my big brothers, and others were like those wise uncles, or even, those guys who would kind of set you straight. And they would just look at me and they'd be like, it might be anything from, are you sure you want this coaching life? Coaching football is like a life on skates. You never get to get settled, kid. Like, you got to be ready to move whenever the job takes you, or, and so there was so much of like the life lessons from them. And there was not one bit of resistance. I think, the only question they had was not, could I do the job, but could we get along? And once they realized that I could easily fit with them in whatever situation it was or whatever conversation, there was not one hesitation.
That's tremendous. And I think that this book, everyone needs to pick it up for one reason, especially if they have a girl that has a dream. I think that they definitely, a little girl or a friend, that anyone can make it as long as they have a dream. And you are groundbreaking for sure in what you're doing, Jen. And it's fabulous. And I'm sure the feedback you get from girls and women about how you've been able to get this opportunity has been phenomenal, hasn't it? The feedback. I have a publicist that was promoting your book that I work with, Alvina Alston, and Alvina was speaking highly of your praises. It's just tremendous to see these people on media talking about you, and it must be.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah,
and Alvina, actually, when I met her, she just reached out and she was like, we met at an event, and she was like, "You're my inspiration." And I just kind of looked at me at her, and I think I said to her, like, "Do you have me confused with somebody else?" And she was like, "I know exactly."
Alvina's awesome. She's so great.
Yeah, and she listed off everything about me, and I was like, "Dude, you're a rock star. Like, what is going on?" And to me, that's one of the most refreshing things about this, is that when we find passion in this world, right, it is so contagious, and it gives us all permission to go after what it is that we want. And it may have nothing to do with football, right?
Exactly.
Like, you may not even know the difference between, a pigskin and a sheepskin, or a touchdown or a home run, right?
Exactly.
And yet those lessons in life go so much further.
All right, so we can pick up your book in all finer bookstores. And where can we follow you, Jen? Everyone can pick it up right now, but where's the best place we can follow you?
Yeah, at JWelter47 on Twitter, Welter47 on Instagram, Dr. Jen Welter on Facebook, and jenwelter.com online.
All right. Thanks again for calling. Take care. See ya.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.
See ya. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show in the Total Celebrity segment, and oh my gosh, when I talk about someone I grew up with watching on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and one of the most famous dances of all the world, and then a huge fan of America's Funniest Home Videos, so I'm excited to welcome to the program Alfonso Ribeiro, America's Funniest Home Videos. Alfonso, thanks for calling. How are you, man? Alfonso, when you think about looking back to the days of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and how that just lives forever, the show, and people will still watch it, it must bring back fond memories, doesn't it?
Well, it's wonderful. They're truly family to me, and we talk all the time, and I get to see them, and it's truly like a family, and there's great memories and great times that we were able to spend together, and you can always look back and remember it. It was a long time ago at this point now, but we're truly like that family that we get to. You don't see each other for a while, but you come back together, and all of a sudden it's like you just left off. So it's wonderful, great memories with that crew.
How did you come up with the dance, Alfonso? Because again, this brought the win again with Dancing with the Stars. How did you come up with that dance?
Simply, it said in the script, Carlton dances, and so when you're starting a TV show, you're trying to figure out the way your character would do certain things. And so in that case, the dance was actually created from Courtney Cox and Eddie Murphy. It was Eddie Murphy's White Man Dance in his Raw video and Courtney Cox in the Bruce Springsteen video, Dancing in the Dark. So, I kind of used those dances as the inspiration as to what I thought this character would do.
Now, your opportunity to host America's Funniest Home Videos must be a dream job, because you know how many people have watched this show for years and years, just before the days of YouTube, before the days of everything, and just laugh hysterically at the people of the videos they send. And it must be a fun job.
It's a great job. I mean, we get to, this show kind of created the viral video, right? And so it's very cool that even today, this many years later, 28 seasons later, you ultimately get to, continue to create viral videos, right? Like we have our own, Facebook page, and our Facebook page has like 15 million followers, and so people are, ultimately we create these viral videos week in, week out. It's a great thing.
Absolutely, and as the competition got more fierce because anyone can shoot video now compared to the days before, I'm sure it has.
Well, I think today that there's so much more, right? We have more videos. The amount of videos we have, the videos are well. Look, funny is funny. So I wouldn't say that they're better videos because they're just funny videos still. But we have a ton more submissions. So it's great that with the everyone having these phones and the ability to just literally, like, you could go to the AFV app and send it in, right off your phone. That's the deal. It's just so great that people can send, and we get a ton of submissions. But we are always like, keep sending them. We want them all.
Absolutely. And how about the connections with the fans? You talked about the huge fan base on Facebook. Do you connect social media with them and truly try to get them engaged, especially to watch the show, but also comment on specific videos that are out there and stuff?
We do. I mean, I think the show does it more than let's say, I would do it. But, the one thing with social media is you can't be overly anything, right? Social media is supposed to be about your life, not your work life, right? So you have to be careful with how much you post. But we post, and we do as much as we can, and the show's constantly posting, and we create a lot of engagement, and so that's a great thing. And you're just trying to remind them, because there's so many places that people can go now to watch things. And look, the internet. If you watch videos on the internet, it might take you down a really bad road. Whereas if you're watching our show, it's going to be a fun, safe way to watch with your family.
And the Halloween episode's coming up next. So tell us about this Halloween episode.
Well, I always feel like our themed episodes are always, more of the same, right? Some good fun stuff, but a lot more of the same.
Awesome. Fantastic. Where's the best place we can find information on you, Alfonso? Again, everyone needs to tune in 8 p.m. Eastern on Sundays to America's Funniest Home Videos, but where can we find info on you?
Well, obviously, you can go on Twitter at Alfonso_Ribeiro or Instagram, which is the real Alfonso Ribeiro. So, yeah, you could always find more information on me there and follow me on my social platforms.
Alfonso, we talked about the social platforms and how crazy they are, right? And you got to live on them, and that's what the marketing companies tell you all the time. But best of luck, and I appreciate you taking the time today.
Absolutely. I appreciate this. Thanks.
Take care, Alfonso.
Back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. And I'm excited to welcome the program from the Moody Blues, John Lodge. John, thanks for calling. How are you?
Hi, Neil. Yeah, fine, thank you. Yeah, very good, thank you.
It's got to be exciting times, right? Especially what's happening with you guys now with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nomination. That's got to be really great.
Yeah, out of the blue, all these years, and to get the nomination, and when I got the call, it was, it's a great honor. It took me by surprise completely, but got to thank everyone who, who's been involved. The fans have just been incredible, and, American radio has been incredible on our behalf as well.
Yeah, because you see your songs continue to live on regardless of when they came out. And that's what's so great about certain genres of music, right, John?
Yeah, it's just been amazing, by continue playing live concerts across America, we get to meet a lot of people, obviously. And it's just amazing that people come up, whatever age, and say, do you know, that song, I know that emotion, that's happened to me, I know exactly what you're talking about. And you've got to be thankful for that.
You definitely got to be thankful for it. And I think this day and age with the ability to play music anywhere and people passing on music, it's the best thing possible especially for your brand and stuff. Tell us a little bit about also the new live album that's going to be released on 10/20. Talk about that as well.
Yeah, I did. I released an album called 10,000 Light Years ago, and I wanted to go on tour, and I went on tour in England. And I said, I'm from Birmingham in England, and I said to my agent, I really want to finish at Birmingham Town Hall, which is an iconic venue where, growing up, I saw all my American rock and roll heroes when I was really young, people like Eddie Cochran and Gene Vincent and Little Richard, Fats Domino, all these people came over. But the person who changed my life really musically was Buddy Holly. And when I was 13, I actually was at Birmingham Town Hall where Buddy Holly and the Crickets were performing, and I was in the first row of the balcony looking down. And I said to my agent, I really want to finish the tour there. I want to film it, release it for a DVD, and with me looking back up at that balcony thinking, yeah, there was a young Johnny Lodge up there looking down at Buddy Holly. It seemed to complete the circle for me.
Oh, it definitely did. And how does that means a lot to you, it sounds like, John, doesn't it?
It meant an enormous amount because, that period of time, American artists were all iconic, iconic looking and everything else. But Buddy Holly came along and changed everything. I mean, we were playing 12 bars and 8 bars and everything else, but Buddy Holly came along and with the type of writing of music, pure rock and roll, he went from sort of listen to me, that'll be the day, not fade away, and then you end up with It Doesn't Matter Anymore with orchestra. And he sort of showed the light to a lot of English British musicians. But I remember sitting in my bedroom with my acoustic guitar, trying to learn all the chords to every Buddy Holly song there was. And it was fascinating. And, it really did help with all. It showed the way, really. It was the beacon. It was the light that shone the way to how to write songs.
And you're excited about your tour, especially coming to the United States. You toured in Europe, in the UK, but now touring in the United States makes you really excited to be out there yourself as well on a tour.
Yeah, I mean, I've never toured in the USA, so I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to places I've never been before. And when we first came over, obviously we came over and it was sort of all the major cities, and that's it. We missed out on a whole load of areas I'd love to go. And the gypsy in me really wanted to go to a lot of other places. And so I've played a lot of concerts I've never played before. I've been going to places I've never been, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I see the different towns, and what's nice about the United States, and I'm sure also the UK, are those interesting towns that you might have not toured with the Moody Blues. Get to learn their places, and for people to see up close and personal John Lodge, that's exciting, right? For especially when they see the documentary and all the different things. Say, I can now see him up close and personal on the tour.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm really excited about. We started off at the very beginning, the Moody's, playing to 80 people, 100 people, 150 people, and it was very up close and personal. And when you get into obviously the bigger theatres and the bigger arenas, it becomes, a sea of faces. But it's really nice to get back and perform live, intimate, and get a one-to-one with an audience.
Absolutely. And then you talk about yourself touring. That it doesn't stop, does it? There's going to be more Days of Future Past 50th anniversary tour as well. The Moody Blues Today, so .com to find out information. So you have that tour as well. You're really busy right now, John. It's a good thing, right?
Yeah, we've had an unbelievable year. At the beginning of the year, I took my 10,000 Light Years band on the prog rock cruise down to Mexico with Yes and a lot of other bands. And then we did a 30-city tour of the USA during the summer. Now I'm doing my Live from Birmingham album tour. And then January, we've got the Moody Blues Cruise and more concerts across America, all celebrating 50 years of Days of Future Past.
That's awesome. And how does it feel touring for so long with the Moody Blues to be out with them? It's just great. The memories, right? And of just tours gone by, right?
It was really interesting because, the concert is in two parts. The first part of the concert is songs other than Days of Future Past, so we put a concert together, an hour concert that's different. And then the second half is all of Days of Future Past. And it was really interesting going back to the original recordings of Days of Future Past and listening to it and listening to the chances we took musically and vocally to see how we did it, because it was really important to do to get it as exact as possible, and not to do sort of a facsimile or a karaoke version of Days of Future Past. We wanted to be totally believable, of what we're doing on stage now. And as soon as you got into it, it sort of transported me back to 1967. It was quite strange. I can remember the studio, everything about it, when we really got back into listening to the album as it was.
All right, so we can find information on you at johnlodge.com and also the moodybluestoday.com, correct? John, check you out.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for calling. Enjoy your U.S. tour and your Moody Blues tour and your albums, and keep on rocking. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for the support. Thank you to everyone.
All right, take care. Thanks. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Neil Haley's show, and we'll be back in just a
We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment, and I'm excited to welcome the program, and it's going to be interesting. This is my favorite show, so I'm sure she's as enthused as I am. I learned so much from it, and it's so entertaining. Shark Tank guest shark, Sara Blakely. Sara, thanks for calling, and I know you are so excited about this opportunity, aren't you?
Yes, I am. It was awesome.
And that's the word awesome is perfect to talk about it. So why did you want to go on Shark Tank in a different way as a guest shark? Tell us like the story of reasoning for wanting to do that.
Well, when I invented Spanx, I started it with $5,000 out of the back of my apartment in Atlanta. I had never taken a business class,
Wow.
and I didn't know where to go or what to do. And so I can relate to these entrepreneurs on Shark Tank. They're putting their whole life savings often into this, and I wanted to be able to be there to support them and potentially invest in them. And I love the fact that the show is teaching America about business and entrepreneurship, and I also like that it's free exposure for these people. I mean, when I started, I had no money to advertise. So an idea or a thought of a television show that would actually put my invention or my product on in front of millions of people is so amazing.
And by putting yourself out there in that guest role as one of the guest sharks, and basically you have empathy for these people because you were in the same seat that they were. I think the other sharks in certain ways were, but yours is like this great idea that you just started with no money at all and made it happen. Some of them are successful entrepreneurs in different business ventures that made them who they are today. So you really look at these contestants and say to yourself, they really remind me of myself. I think that's what you're trying to say, Sara, and why wanting to go on.
Yeah, and it's funny because they sat me between Kevin and Mark, so I felt a little bit like fresh bait or fresh meat on the Shark Tank myself. And I'm very interested in the why someone's doing it, so I asked a lot of questions about why are you doing this? What's the purpose? What do you feel is your purpose? And they would kind of roll their eyes and laugh at me because they'd go straight for the numbers. But I'm someone who invented something that had no outside funding, and I feel like the reason I'm still here 17 years later is because I've stayed so connected to the why and the purpose behind each product that I created. And I tell people I'm looking for someone who's found the white space and that can tell me why they're different from any other option that's out there. So I often say, sell the problem you're solving, not the product. So if you can sell me the problem you're solving and say, here's the problem, here's the product I invented or the service I invented and the reason why, and then here's why I'm the best option, then I'm all in.
See, interesting, because you want to be able to say that's what an entrepreneur needs to look at, Sara, or even someone that has a business idea. Am I solving a certain problem or solution that's not in the marketplace right now? Or is it differentiating from the marketplace? Those are the two areas. And that's what I work with certain entrepreneurs and talk to them in specific things. If you can't say either of those things, it's going to be an uphill battle, especially with as many entrepreneurs who fail. So I think that's what you're looking at is this a great idea? Is this something the marketplace has not been out there? Or is it differentiating in the marketplace? And then you say, okay, and do they have the right plan? Are they willing to work hard for me? And that's the other thing, Sara, right?
Yeah. And you know what? At my core, Neil, I'm an inventor, so I'm still inventing. I mean, I started Spanx in 2000 out of my apartment, and I just even invented another product that didn't exist for women, and we launched it a week ago.
Wow.
And it's called Arm Tight. And I was interested in creating like something that could go on women's arms so that you could wear everything sleeveless year-round. So I solved the problem because I looked in my closet and I have all these sleeveless dresses and sleeveless shirts that I had to stop wearing come fall or winter. And I was interested, like, okay, tights for women's legs have been around for years and years, but why not tights for our arms? Like, think of the possibilities if I could create a little crop top made out of tights.
So when you're not so yeah. So
where my spirit is. That's why I wanted to be on the show. I love that it celebrates inventors.
Yeah, I think that's great. But your idea sounds really good for women because again, sometimes they don't want to wear a bulky sweater, right? Sometimes they want to, you can't wear sleeveless stuff all the time. This is a great idea so that you can show off your figure still, right, Sarah? And meaning you're working out, different things like that, and still not be cold, right? Is that one of the ideas of that new invention? Sounds like it.
Yeah, it's literally just coverage for your arms. So
Yeah.
I have sleeveless dresses. I throw on the little black arm tights, and it looks like it's a long sleeve dress. And women are. I mean, I just launched it, but women are already going crazy for it because they're seeing that it's filling a void in their closet, and it solves the problem.
Now, what do you think of the other sharks? In your opinion, working with them and things like that? You said you were in between two very impressive people that are a little different than you, Sarah, in mindset when they're looking at are they going to say yes or are they going to say no? What did you learn from that experience working with them for this episode coming up Sunday?
I mean, Kevin and Mark are all about the deal. They are very numbers driven. They cut to the chase. I thought they both actually gave really good advice. They're tougher on the entrepreneur than Lori or I was, and so I felt like I learned a lot actually just from being on the show because I've been working so hard on Spanx. I'm not out there investing all the time in other businesses like they are. So I'm not a professional investor, but man, did I get a quick trial by fire lesson on valuation and fast, I had to really talk fast and think fast in order to compete against those other sharks. If the deal was good, I was like, oh my God, I gotta be on and I gotta be quick because I had two huge sharks on either side of me just barking like, all this information and questions and then spitting out like, I'll do the deal. And I'm like, wait, I'll do the deal too.
Well, fantastic. Everyone needs to tune in on Sunday for sure to see you. But where can we find information on you, Sarah? Learn about your company and all the new projects you have going on. Where can we go?
You know what? Spanx.com is awesome, and I always say you have to spell Spanx with an X or you're going to get a real treat. Do not spell it with a KS. And then also I just joined Instagram not long ago, and I put all kinds of entrepreneurial stuff and products and cool things that I'm up to on Instagram, and my handle is @SarahBlakely, and that's Sarah without an H.
Well, isn't it interesting, Sarah, the last thing about social media and how important it is just to stay connected with your customers and also fans? It's interesting process. You got to stay on top of it, but it's very rewarding to get that quick feedback on things. Don't you agree? Through social media.
Yeah. I totally agree. I love it. I read all my comments. I've enjoyed it. I was one of the last people to join social media, but once I did, I have, I'm a mom of 4 small children under the age of 8 as well. So I put a lot about just trying to be the mother and a working woman and balancing life and all of that. So I put a lot of just very real stuff on my Instagram, my struggles, my ups, my downs, all of it.
Fantastic, Sarah. Well, thanks for calling. Best of luck on Sunday, and take care. I appreciate it.
All right, Neil, thanks. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. You're listening to Neil Haley's show.
Neil Haley's show on the Author's Corner segment, and I'm excited to welcome the program. Author of I Can't Breathe, A Killing on Bay Street, Matt Taibbi. Matt, thanks for calling, and another controversial book. You had a book on Trump last year I interviewed you on. You continue to just, as a journalist, say, I'm going to dig deep and have the other side not like me too much. For sure, Matt. Is that true?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, Neil, in this business, if everybody likes you, you're probably not doing the job correctly. So, yeah, definitely there are plenty of people who are not fans at this point.
So let's just jump into why you wrote this book, because again, there was a lot of tragedies in the last couple of years by police officers not following protocol. Why this one? Why the Eric Garner story? Why?
Well, I never intended to write this book. What happened was, for those of you who don't remember, Eric Garner was the big guy on Staten Island who was choked to death by police. And when the grand jury decided not to indict the police officer in the case, I live not far from where that happened, so I drove over to the neighborhood and started talking to people. And people just started telling me stories about Eric Garner, the person, and I just found him so interesting and complicated and funny that I found myself coming back, just asking more questions about it. And I think one of the things that happens in these cases is that people have emotional reactions and opinions about it, but they never really know the people that are involved. And so that's one of the things I try to do in the story is I tried to get to tell his story in a way that people got to know who he was before they react to what happened. Yeah,
because you know the specific talking points are that it was not the greatest guy in the world, meaning he was in trouble with the law. He wasn't, he was not following protocol, didn't listen. They wanted to go back to all the different negatives of this man. Anytime there's a police tragedy, I'm not saying I'm not taking the police side before that. They all go back to, let's look at the person. Let's look at what they are. Let's really dig deep. That's why the police had to use force. And so you found out that Eric Garner was different than what the media was portraying then, especially on one side of the aisle.
Yeah, no, definitely. The capsule descriptions of Garner were wrong on a lot of fronts, even from people who thought they were being well-meaning and supportive of him. He was sort of described as a small-time, almost homeless character who was selling Lucy cigarettes. Actually, he was running a whole crew of cigarette dealers on that street, and he was pretty good at it. He had mules going back and forth in cars to Virginia to buy cartons. I mean, he was a sophisticated businessman. That's true on the one hand. On the other hand, he wasn't selling cigarettes that day, and I can say that for an absolute fact. I spoke to basically everybody who was on the street that day, and
wow.
I know minute to minute what he was doing, and he was not feeling well that day. He came out of a bathroom, broke up a fight, leaned up against a wall out of breath, and that's when the police stopped him. So that's part of the subtext of this whole incident, is that he can't believe that he's being arrested on the one day when he's not actually doing anything wrong.
Wow.
And that was an irony of this case that most people don't know.
And then people would like to point saying, oh, this is drugs. No, this is cigarettes. This was, again, many people do this, Matt. They do it as scalpers. Are we going to go and say that they're mastermind criminals when you see guys on the street selling scalp tickets? It's the same almost type of situation that cigarettes are so expensive in New York City, getting them from somewhere else and then selling them on the black market is an entrepreneurial thing, even though it's not legal. It's not like he was killing anybody, right? That's the point.
No.
He was before.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. In fact, Garner had, in his youth, he had been a crack dealer. He had been involved in hardcore drug dealing, but he was terrible at it. He was not a good hardcore criminal. It just didn't fit his character. And when the opportunity to sell untaxed cigarettes came along, that's when this entrepreneurial thing in him kicked into overdrive. He actually enjoyed that because it fit his character much more. And as you say, it wasn't a serious crime. In New York City, it's barely even a misdemeanor what he was doing. And he loved that aspect of it too. He used to say that it was felony money, misdemeanor time. And he thought he had sort of hit the jackpot because of the high taxes on cigarettes in New York City. It had created the job market for people like him. And but at the end, these policing strategies that targeted minor criminals made him sort of publicly enemy number one in that neighborhood, and that's why he had so much contact with police.
Oh wow! And then in the book, I'm sure you describe how he got killed and the different people who observed this and saw this happen. And were there new, and that's where people definitely need to pick up the book, but I think to learn about Eric Garner is an important part. But really, what he did, I mean, how the police handled this was just absolutely wrong. I mean, anyone can see it's a no-brainer, but he looks like he was resisting arrest. And that's the only thing that could say, hey, Eric did the wrong thing.